On this episode of Carnage, we're at MPW for final fabrication. Ten months ago, we started on this ute build. It was only supposed to take a couple months, get us to drag challenge, but the project has ballooned out massively and the car is turning out to be, it's going to be a lot faster than we initially intended. Initially, it was going to be like an 850 car. Now it's going to be more like a 750 car, which is a little bit scary, but we are approaching the finish line. We're doing the final fab. We're down at MPW. Dave's over there reattaching a turbo at the moment. He's just welding wastegates onto it. So yeah, we've been busy already. I've already had the rocker covers off, putting some overflow catch can lines, well not lines, but the fittings so we can run the lines to a catch can that doesn't exist yet, but that's going to happen as well. So yeah, things are happening. So let's talk about some of the stuff that's going on the car. As with all our turbo builds, we are using Australian-made Turbo Smart products for all our boost-related accessories. So Dave's over there welding on some 50mm Pro gates at the moment. These things are awesome. This has a pretty heavy spring in it, so it's going to make some boost. And then we've got some erase ports to go on the intake pipe, so to vent the gases and release the boost after the run. And then we've got Turbo Smart OPRs for regulating the oil pressure going to the turbo so they don't end up with too much oil pressure at the turbo. They're great for that. So yeah, if you're talking boost accessories, you're talking Turbo Smart, they're the only products you should be using. So Dave's been busy already this morning. We've got these bends fully welded. We've got wastegates already on this side, and I'm just about to fit that one on that side. I've also had the rocker covers off, and I've drilled and tapped the front of the rocker covers for these screw-in fittings. So they're going to be for our oil catch can. But yeah, things are progressing rapidly. So I'll just get this wastegate on so Dave can do the screamer pipe bends. So what we're going to do right now is relocate our OPR, so that's oil pressure regulator, so the Turbo Smart one. So right now it points out that way. Just to give us more clearance for our screamer pipe, we are going to go that way. So I'm going to use these two little fittings. So we've got a little extension. It's not phallic at all, and a 90 degree to help it point downwards. Stop leaking. It's dripping all over me. Flow in that direction. Shall be like so. So we need that, we need that, we need to rotate that one. Everything's so slippery. Okay, so we have moved our OPR so it is now facing downwards, and that gives Dave a lot more room to play with the screamer pipe. So the lines are a little bit on the tight side, but we'll see how we go. I think they'll be fine. We can always remake them later if they're not. So now that we've moved that OPR, there's more room for the screamer pipes, and Dave's already started on that. He's got the driver's side one pretty much formed up. Now just do the passenger side, it'll meet. They'll be sliced off. They're not going to hang down that far. Be sliced off, but still, that's going to look pretty cool. Could make for some interesting photos from the front end when it's on the limiter. Like, pop, 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 pop. Yeah, should look cool. So it is the next day and we're still at MPW. I had to disappear yesterday afternoon to go to a meeting, but I left Dave to the task of doing these screamer pipes. They look amazing. I'm really happy with his wastegate placement. And the screamer pipes, I'll have to plumb them up to the MAC valves shortly. But yeah, it's looking really good. We're out here in the car park. The boys have to get a car ready for the dyno, so they needed the hoist. That's fine. It also allows them to listen to their doof music in there, and we don't have to turn it off for filming stuff. So I'm doing the steam port stuff. So what we're going to do with the steam port is we're just running the front two fittings. So this arrangement is part of that kit I showed you before, and we're going to slide that up under the intake, attach to that fittings, and that's going to run off to our radiator, which we still have to weld the fitting to the radiator, but we'll leave that for that part. But still, yeah, I've got to lift up the manifold, slide that under, connect it to our fittings, and that'll have us in some sort of position to finish it up. This one is going to be fun. Gotta say, it's nice and warm out here in the sun. It's awesome. Just what you want during winter. Alright, where are we going? About there-ish. Chop. So much harder without my vice. Right, so that is all our steam lines and fittings done. The boys will just have to weld a fitting into that radiator, and that is job done. While we're still out here, I might get started on these thermocouples, so that way I've got access to the car and it's not limited by the hoist. But eventually the car's heading back inside so they can continue on the fab work. But let's get started on the thermocouples. So now we're going to fit our thermocouples into our pipes. The fittings are already there, so they were put in right from the start, and then when we've had the pipes coated, we've put caps over them and make sure that none of the coating blocks the threads or anything like that. So these have to be installed so they're like 5 to 6 mil, just the tip, 5 to 6 mil poking through to the inside of the pipe. If it was an NA combo, you'd have the tip right in the center of the pipe. But on a turbo or supercharged combo, 5 to 6 mil is the measurement. So we're going to be very careful to make sure our first one is at the right depth, and then we're going to measure up all the others to make them the same. So that's also important, that they're all the same, because if you have one at a different depth, it can throw out the whole readings. So, you know, you'll have all these cylinders reading right, and then one will be out of whack because the depth is different. So you got to make sure they're all the same as well. So I'm just going to whip that plug off and we'll take some measurements. Okay, just 7 more of those. So the whole point behind these is they measure exhaust gas temperature, all right? So anywhere up to like, well, they'll measure 1300 degrees if you want. I mean, 1300 degrees is starting to get into the bad area. But yeah, they're a tuning tool, so you can see individually what cylinders are doing what. You know if you've got misfires on a particular cylinder, or you can, you know, I mean, you've got O2s to help tune in as well, but O2s are on, you got one per bank. So it's measuring 4 cylinders at a time. So when you're dealing with the critical measurements that we're going to be dealing with this, with a race engine where, you know, the difference between one cylinder running hot or not, you know, could be the difference between melting a piston or not. You want exhaust gas temperatures in there to just make sure that one cylinder's not doing anything funky as opposed to its, you know, 3 brothers or sisters. So I will install these all at the same depth. We'll run the cables into the cab. Now we've purposely got the cables too long, so that way we can shorten them if need be to plug into our amplifier. They're really easy to re-terminate, so this is the important end. Make sure that's in right. This end we can shorten later. So it's critical you get these things right the first time, because once you install them, kind of crimps them, and while you can pull them in and out, you can never reset the depth. So once the depth is set, that is it. Right, so these are a 3-piece arrangement. You've got your nut and you've got your 2-piece ferrule. It's got to go on a certain way, and once it goes on and gets locked in, it's done forever. Now I should be able to loosen that off and rotate it around so it's out of the way. All right, next one. That's that side done. Now for the other side. Right, so they're all in. Just going to cable tie them together and make them all neat, and then we'll move inside. In you go. See, there was a reason we left this seat out. So our options right now are cut them all to length, run them all neat and tidy up to our amplifier there, which is, you know, just already mounted, or we just coil them up and tuck them away, you know, tidy. I think in the interest of time management, maybe that's what we do. Because we'd like to get this on the dyno next week. Won't be in this video, but our plan is to get this on the dyno for next week's video. And if I've got to spend, you know, half a day shortening and re-terminating these, that's half a day I could use doing other wiring stuff. So let's coil them up, plug them in, make them neat, but tuck them away. And if we get time another day, we can look into shortening and re-terminating. Yeah, I think let's just roll them up. Job done. All right, I think that'll do us for today. So come back tomorrow where we finish off the rest of the fab and maybe fire this thing up again. And we're back. It's a brand new day here at MPW. I've been banished to the car park once again. The boys are doing some tidy up. They've got to arrange some stuff so we can get in onto the hoist later on. In the meantime though, the intercooler and radiator are both out. Abe's got them inside, so he's going to be finishing up, welding up the mounts on the intercooler and then welding up our little fitting on our radiator so we can do our steam line. In the meantime, I'm going to be doing the boost control. So I'm setting up this Mac valve. We'll mount that, and I'm just doing the fittings in the wastegates at the moment. There is 6 ports in each of the wastegates, and only 2 of them come blocked off. So I've got to go through and block each of those unused ports on the wastegates, and then I've got to run a line to the top and bottom of the wastegate on either side, and then that'll run to our Mac valve with T-pieces and boost lines and all that sort of stuff. So lots happening. Well, we're inside, we're on the hoist. I'm just fitting up our Mac valve at the moment. So this is for the boost control. So it basically balances the amount of boost pressure that goes above and below the wastegate diaphragm. Now, I mean, you're going to have springs in there to control boost pressure, but after a while, the actual flow of the turbos will overpower those springs. So controlling the amount of boost that you feed to the top of the diaphragm will allow you to add more and more boost. So found a handy little spot here. I'm only using 1 valve at the moment because we're just going to go straight off the manifold, but eventually we're going to go for a 2 valve setup and run CO2, but that's for race stuff, so we'll deal with that down the track. We're going to mount it here under the guard. This side goes to the top of the gate, this side to the bottom of the gate. Obviously I'm going to have to split them and tee them because we've got 2 gates, and then we'll run boost pressure off the back of the intake where we've got a spare spot there. So yeah, pretty simple, pretty effective, man. We'll be able to, with this system, we'll be able to feed this thing probably 20, 25 pounds of boost, and that's just with 7-pound springs. If we wanted to go a higher base pressure, we could just leave the 14-pound springs in there, but you know, 14 pounds, Adam reckons we're gonna be close to 1,000 rear wheel horsepower at 14 pounds with this thing. So yeah, we don't want to be doing that all the time, so let's have it adjustable so we can tool around at 7 pounds if we need to be. All right, that'll go there. Job done. Oh wow. See that? To finish up the final fabrication, Dave is making up this intake pipe. It's going to be a two-piece arrangement with a ProFlow boost clamp in the middle, which will allow us to remove the top half of the intake pipe. It's also going to incorporate 2 TurboSmart blow-off valves and the air intake temperature sensor. Well, that's a wrap on this week's video. Abe's over there right now finishing the intake pipe, and that will take care of the last of the fabrication on this car. We've just got a couple little things to do, like radiator hoses, some random wiring that's got to be done, and then we'll be ready for the dyno next week. Very exciting. Yep, that is the plan, that next week this thing will be on the dyno making bulk horsepower. I'm both nervous and scared and excited. It's just, yeah, it's going to be crazy. But you're going to see that on a future episode of Carnage.